Hello, today I'm going to be talking about principles, values, and ethics of gender transformative evaluations. The question is often asked, how are ethical dimensions of gender transformative evaluations different from any other evaluation? And our submission is that while all evaluations need to be ethically sound, there are a few principles of feminism on which feminist ethics of evaluations could also draw upon. So, I'm going to be discussing generally the ethics of evaluations as well as ethics of feminist evaluations. So, principles and values of gender transformative evaluations would not necessarily be different from any ethically conducted evaluation. However, as I said earlier, a feminist or a gender transformative evaluation would explicitly be based on principles of egalitarianism, inclusion, participation, and transparency. These are fundamentals of feminism, and the ethics of feminist evaluations would draw upon these values. I'd also like to just point out that the American Evaluation Association has laid out ethical principles. And their ethical principles, the first one is systematic inquiry. They talk about systematic, data based evaluations. They talk about competence of evaluators, that the evaluators be technically competent to conduct the evaluation in whatever subject or sector that they are undertaking to evaluate. Honesty and integrity is another ethical principle of the American Evaluation Association. Respect for people, and they define respect or they operationalize respect in terms of participation of stakeholders, being responsible for advancing public welfare. So, these are some of the important ethical principles of the American Evaluation Association. In addition to these are relevant for feminist or gender transformative evaluations. But in addition to these, we would submit that feminist or gender transformative evaluations would also privilege perspectives of women, the most vulnerable, powerless in the situation being evaluated. Feminism plays a lot of emphasis on power and power sharing and increasing the power of the powerless. Feminist evaluations would also be transformative, and they would build into the process opportunities for personal transformation of both the evaluatees as well as the evaluator, and therefore they would be empowering. They would be based on a principle of mutuality, which means that they would not be extractive. They would also give back to communities or stakeholders who are participants in the evaluation, and they would use mixed methods. By mixed methods, we mean quantitative methods as well as qualitative methods. And qualitative methods are qualitative participatory methods are methods which feminist practice uses, and quantitative methods would be used in ways which would be transformative. Quantitative methods are generally the preserve of researchers and academics, and by bringing them into the feminist practice and empowering women and the powerless to feel competent to deal with quantitative data is empowering and transformative. And so that is the whole relevance of mixed methods. Feminism also talks about women's ways of knowing, qualitative methodologies, knowledge based on experience and insights from implementation, and quantitative methods with explanations by the evaluator has a potential, as I said earlier, for demystification, resulting in empowerment of those not exposed to these methods. Feminist or gender transformative evaluations also prioritize the assessment of changes in gender power, and they would generate broader knowledge that advances gender justice or feminist concepts. For example, concepts around women's health, around livelihoods, around justice, a feminist interpretation of each of these concepts, moving away from the standard conventional ways of understanding these concepts. There are some other principles of ethically conducted evaluation that I have personally sort of um, learned from my practice of evaluation. And these are that the design of the evaluation should include or be based on also the implementing team's evaluation questions. What is it that they want out of this evaluation? What do they want to learn about their work? The evaluation should respect confidentiality and safety, especially for the most vulnerable, even while it elicits feedback from a maximum number of team members. Evaluations should do no harm. They should build on what has been initiated and not jeopardize the achievements. A feminist evaluation would, in fact, celebrate achievements. The design and process would ensure that the weakest actors or stakeholders do not suffer from any adverse consequences of the evaluation. Using the principle of beneficence, if critical feedback needs to be given, it should be backed by sound reason and evidence. A set of clear, positive options to the issues being critiqued should be given. While the evaluation report should be transparent and direct, it should not personalize issues or ascribe blame. The same feedback can be framed as suggestions and recommendations, and the report should be as educational as possible. Illustrative tools for use by the implementing team can be provided. Giving the implementing team an opportunity to give feedback on the draft evaluation report would serve two purposes: as a safety measure for the evaluator to correct factual inaccuracies, and also to incorporate the evaluatee's perspectives and opinions when different from the evaluators. Okay, finally, what I want to say is that doing gender transformative or feminist evaluations, the evaluator must enter every evaluation situation with an attitude of respect. After all, this is people's work that you are evaluating. They have put their heart and soul into what they have done, and it's a privilege for us as evaluators to be allowed to enter and understand their work and to learn from it. Thank you.